to Tabula Rasa, bitches!
Hello, hello.
Well, hello.
My name is Allie. My pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Nick, and my pronouns are he, him.
And welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of Tabula Rasa, bitches!
In Tabula Rasa, bitches, your two co-hosts discuss and dissect Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a show that bonded them together so many years ago. And in this episode, we will be discussing Season 3, Episode 4, Beauty and the Beasts.
As usual, we'll do our best to avoid spoilers beyond this episode, but today we'll discuss this episode, spoilers and all. Things between Buffy and her new BF Scott are progressing nicely, but there's a brutal killing in the Sunnydale woods. Werewolf Oz is the prime suspect. Buffy, however, soon learns that Angel was sent back from whatever hell dimension he was in and is back in Sunnydale in a feral, animalistic state. Buffy worries that Angel is the killer, but both Oz and Angel turn out to be in the clear when the gang uncovers a classmate's abusive boyfriend, Pete, has been taking a potion that made him stronger, but also turns him into a roid rage monster. Suspecting shenanigans between Oz and his girlfriend, Debbie, Pete goes after Oz, but the sun soon sets, and Werewolf Oz puts up a good fight. Buffy enters the fray, and Pete runs away. Buffy pursues, but is just minutes too late to save Debbie from Pete. Buffy is momentarily thrown by Pete when a large form, Angel, leaps in and savagely snaps Pete's neck. Angel's vamp face slowly fades when he sees Buffy before he breaks down in tears.
And we originally had a disclaimer on here that this summary was adapted from Buffy Guide, but Allie did a lot of beautiful editing on that I just read for the first time while she was saying that. And I don't think that attribution is now important. Well done, Allie.
Aw, thank you. All right. Well, so this episode starts off with a voiceover first of Buffy and transitions into Willow reading Call of the Wild. Did you ever have to read that book for school?
I didn't read it. I noticed both the episodes starting and ending with this. I thought about looking it up. I've never read it. Did you ever read it? We
read it in, I think, 7th grade, and I fucking hated it.
That's a big
Jack
book
London.
for a 7th grade. 7th grade?
7th or 8th, yeah. It was definitely middle school.
It does not feel like a middle school book.
Hated it. We also read a short story by Jack London called To Build a Fire, which I'll give you the cliff notes. Dumbass is going through these like wintry mountains or whatever. He and his dog, they're hiking through, and all the locals are like, dude, you should wait a couple days. Storm's coming in. And he's like, whatever, idiots. So he goes, ends up getting stranded by the snow, and he has the whole thing is him trying to build a fire. Oh, imagine that. And it's, the wind is blowing down, like all this stuff. He even tries to kill his dog so they can like climb in him and stay warm, but his like joints all freeze up and he ends up dying, and the dog trots off to the next town.
Good. I'm glad the dog survived. It was the
dumbest thing I've ever read, and I hated it. Good. That was like the one silver lining is the dog survived. But it was just like about this idiot being an idiot, and I fucking hated it. I didn't like the writing style. It sounds really nice when it's like being dramatically read like that. It's very poetic.
No, it doesn't.
But a whole book of that? Fuck that.
Yeah. Neither the short story nor the book that they were reading aloud to Oz sounded good to me. And Werewolf Oz also didn't love how the book was sounding because there's that jump scare where he attacks the cage, and Willow's like, oh, shit.
I think the idea was that he was getting too excited, not that he didn't like it. Or at least that's how Willow was interpreting it. But you're right. Maybe Oz was like, fucking quit it.
Yeah.
Read something else.
I believe that Willow would be inclined to be like, of course everybody likes this, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah. I feel like maybe Oz would have been like, I don't know, put on some like Metallica or something.
This episode has a lot of good Oz quotes that I had forgotten about.
I love Oz heavy episodes.
Thought that you would like this one. Yeah. So yes. Xander shows up to take over for Ozwatch, and Willow gives him some instructions. And they have this kind of exchange about Willow's like, oh, there are towels up for privacy. And Xander's like, it's fine. And Willow's like, no, actually, it's for me. I'm not used to seeing all of him naked. And Xander's like, what? what part of him are you talking about? And Willow goes, wouldn't you like to know?
Which was a very cute moment from Willow, but Xander just is just being a total knob from the start. Because he first off is like, I can handle the full Monty Oz, and he's like, not handle. Obviously, like if you hadn't said that, no one here was gonna assume that there would be touching involved. We would have just thought what you meant. I can handle it like any other human. And then again, he's like you said, when she's like, I'm still just getting used to the top half. And he's like, how much have you seen? And the top half, and she's all like cute and coy, but like, what the fuck do you care, Xander? Like,
yeah,
you haven't already like probably fingered Cordelia and got a blowy from her? Like, come on.
And also you rejected Willow for years and years and years. Why do you care that if she's getting like, what is this? Right. What is this? Like, I don't want you to explore thing. Yeah.
Or even if it's coming from like protective big brother, that still doesn't even really make sense because like we all know and approve of Oz. So like, just get it, girl. And she's talking about getting used to like the top half. So like, obviously they're not having sex. So it's not like you have to worry about her like safety or anything like that. It's just totally dumb. It's just like generic boy dumbness.
Yeah.
That frankly kind of similar vibes from Dead Man's Party, where you're like, this just feels hack or lazy, or just like you could have had him being cool. Instead, you continue to like encourage this like immature side of him.
The line about not handle him, like, I'm not in a gay way. That's not what I meant.
Right.
That's one of those lines to me that would be on the fan sites. It's hotly debated that they were considering making Xander gay. And I don't know if that was like settled at this point or something, but if that had been a character arc he went through, then we would all think about that line differently. But as it states, it's just like, are you like...
Because again, spoiler alert, there is no payoff with Xander. Like,
yeah,
this is not a Larry situation where it makes all of it make sense at the end and like, oh my gosh, now it all, no, it doesn't work out that way.
What's wrong with people thinking you're gay? What is that? It's nobody thinks
also
that, but like, what would that? Why? Yeah, figure it out, Xander.
Right. So next we are walking through the graveyard. Buffy and Faith are on patrol.
I have one more note. I'm sorry.
Talk. Oh, sorry.
We agreed you were driving and then I promptly interrupted you. That was very rude. Xander's such a piece of shit in this scene for a lot of reasons. Willow leaves and he immediately fucking goes to sleep. Dude, you are so bad at this. God.
After talking about like, I've got my coffee, I've got my magazine, I'm good to go. And then he promptly lays down. Doesn't even like attempt to stay awake.
Not even attempts. Yeah, you're right. Okay, right. Sorry. Keep driving.
Nope, you're right. That is fine. That is some Xander slander that I'm behind because he was just. I'm gonna just say he was poorly written in this scene, and give him that excuse. So next scene, Buffy and Faith are walking through the cemetery. You know, the cemetery that we've always seen. They're having some lovely girl chat. And Faith asks Buffy how things are going with Scott. And she says, like, he's sweet. Things haven't got spicy or whatever. And Faith says, he's a total muffin. And she says, yeah, one of the blueberry ones. And I'm like, yes, I fucking love blueberry muffins. It was just a very sweet moment. And I have been like a Scott advocate for a long time. He's like the forgotten boyfriend. I think there's a lot of like pureness and sweetness. Yeah, I just like very much enjoy this very early little where everything's just like a little unsure, a little exciting. I think it's very nice for Buffy to experience this.
It's unsure, but also very casual. And like she says, my most favorite thing so far is that he doesn't seem to be any kind of hell beast, which I bet that does feel nice after that. And then Faith's line immediately after that resonates with me so hard right now, Allie. Did you write this quote down?
Yeah, I sure did, because it's very appropriate for 2023, 2024.
She says, all men are beasts, Buffy. and then she goes on to say, I don't care how sensitive they act. They're all just in it for the chase. I hate men so much, and I'm just gonna leave it there.
I definitely vibe with that of certainly where we're at, like I said, 2023, 2024, in the year of the Barbie movie. I'm definitely in a place of assume the worst, hope for the best, or like guilty and still proven innocent kind of
Mm,
thing. I definitely agree. Not all men. I do like to be a little more of an optimist than Faith, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, I'd I'd rather play it safe and assume the worst. I get so excited when I have to like Lyft or Uber somewhere and it ends up being a woman. Like just like the immediate sigh
yeah,
of like, oh, I don't have to be tense this entire car ride.
yeah. Hashtag things that are unreal in our
Mhm.
society, but are very real.
It's wild. So school the next day?
Yep.
Yep, the girls slay some vamps, as they do. So we're at school the next day. The gang's walking up, chit-chatting. Scott from a ways away says, hey, Buffy. And then once they meet up, he says, that's what I stopped you for, to say hey. I was just like, oh, Scott.
It is so wholesome and easy, and just I did love that. I wrote down
And
that
like
interaction
just
too.
sweet.
Yeah.
Right? It's very cute. And the whole like, oh wait, are we at Flowers? No, we're fine. We are pre-posy. Like adorable. And more adorable Ozness. He has this riff on they tried to have a jazz marching band, but since it's improvisational, it like kept being a mess. Thought that was really funny.
Yeah, there's some good there's some good Oz banter here too. And so at this point too, we've met Debbie and Pete, who are gonna be
Mhm.
fixtures in this episode. And so Debbie, I guess, is struggling in some science class, and Oz is like, oh, I did really well with that. I'll give you my notes. And it's really sweet.
It's just like a nice casual friends interaction. Like some of these people can have a bit of normalcy. And it's knowing, of course, spoiling for myself, knowing where this is going, it's hard to be like, it's hard not to feel like this is just waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah, right.
It's not, we never get to stay in this kind of scene for very long. Oz's mention of jazz marching band awakened a memory I hadn't thought about in so long. When I was in marching band, a group of us used to have this ongoing joke about extreme marching band, and they like made up whole rules and stuff like back when Facebook notes were a thing.
Oh yeah.
And you'd post like your about me or like your schedule and stuff. So someone posted all of the rules for extreme marching band. And so it's two marching bands on the field at the same time. And you have to perform your show as best you can with the other team. And then like the front pit, which is like all of the things that don't move, like the glockenspiels and like all of that stuff, can use their instruments as like ramming things. And then at a certain point in the show, I think maybe it was the 50-yard line, gets lit on fire.
Fantastic.
Oh, and this whole thing, I think you're supposed to do naked. So you're also marching naked through this whole thing.
Cool.
Like it's
Great.
another added element.
Yeah,
It was just like
phenomenal.
this continued riff that kept getting like more and more insane. It was a good time.
That does sound
Just
like a
silly.
good time. Memories from marching band. What a thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, and one last note during this nice casual interaction, another sweet moment. Buffy wants to check the time, and so she leans over and grabs Scott's wrist to turn the watch so she can read it. So it's just like a really
Oh,
sweet, like casual touch.
I didn't
Because
notice
like
that.
clearly they're still in like light kissing and stuff, but just so like that, she could have just asked, but instead she just like grabs his wrist to check his watch. And I thought that was really some really cute casual touch.
Yeah, that relates to I have two other notes about this scene. That relates to one of them. This so Scott and Buffy kiss goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so clearly and then the like casual but intimate look at the watch.
Mm-hmm.
If I've kissed you, you can give me flowers. That's cool. I would push back
So I
on the we're pre-posy.
so I don't think it's about whether you can. I think it's where's the expectation.
Oh, got it. I don't ever expect flowers though.
Well, I really love flowers, and that was something that Hayden was really good about in the beginning when he was wooing me, and hasn't been great the last.
Oh my God.
years.
You should send
That's
him,
fine.
you should be like, hey, Hayden, will you listen to this episode, please? Just for no reason. I'm really proud of it.
I send him so many videos on Instagram that are clearly like, these are things you could do, and he like never sees it. You could poke him though. Just like poke him, tell him you should get Allie flowers and a giant teddy bear for Valentine's Day.
No, you tell him that you want that.
But he should know by now. He knows I love flowers. I actually have verbally mentioned it many times. Like, hey, CVS sells like $5 bouquets. You could just do it because, like, not even because it's my birthday. Anyway, getting off topic, rating myself in. Yay, casual touch. And I think you have to feel, as far as flowers go, I think you have to feel out your person. Like, I kind of don't see Buffy as a flowers person anyway.
I agree with that.
Now, chocolates, I see going over very well.
Yeah.
But just like vibe feel, I think she is at a point where she's like not expecting flowers, and also she's not really your flowers gal. But I do agree with you. Like, flowers are often something I feel like you show up with like on a first date, or like your first official date or something like that. So I can see where there's different stances on flowers.
My other note here is a funny quote from Buffy. She says she's talking about how she's on her way to see the school counselor. Debbie has also seen the school counselor, so that'll come up. She says, I get to convince him I'm Little Miss Stable so I can stay in school. And I just thought that was funny.
Yep, that was cute. So the next scene is Buffy going to the counselor's office, who, when he turns around, we find is Mr. Mosby from Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
I didn't know that, but oh wait, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mr. Mosby. And he looks all young and hip with his hair a little longer, and he almost looks like he's in a retro 70s kind of outfit.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's playing the cool counselor here. Yeah, and he is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down a lot of these quotes. I'm not really going to read them, but let's see. When she says,
I wonder if we have the same one.
Buffy Summers reporting for sanity. That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
She says, so the way he's like disarmingly honest is clearly building trust with Buffy, how he's like, we're not going to be friends.
Right, definitely.
Like, my role is different. I liked that. But Buffy did say one thing that was just not true. She's like kind of recounting why she's there and like why she ran away and stuff. And she said, my mom and I were fighting and I kind of freaked. That is a real bastardization of what happened.
Yeah, I wrote down a quote he had of any person who claims to be totally sane is either lying or not very bright. Love that.
True.
Agreed. Double click. And then he says, she mentions this thing, and he says, tell me more about this guy. And I'm like, okay, yes, but also no, let's talk about your mom kicking you out of the house.
Agrees. Yeah, the guy was not the operative part here to dig into more. Yeah.
I mean, I get that, like, so often therapy is triaging. Both of us have been very open, like, on this podcast that we are both in therapy. So sometimes it is triaging. It's not always about like, oh, what's the root problem? It's like, what is occupying your brain space right now? And so I can see where, like, right now, what is troubling her the most is the boy stuff. So, but still, if I'm talking about like, why did I run away? And we're talking about like, all right, how do we solve this? Why make sure you don't run away again? I want to talk about my fucking mom who said, don't come back.
Right. Yeah.
If you go out that door, don't come back. Like that would be top of my head. But
you make a good distinction about the triaging. She hasn't made clear though that is what, like, he was the one that dug into that more.
Right. He said like, all right, let's talk about this guy. Because normally what you do is you just like word vomit to your person, to your counselor, to your therapist or whatever. And then they go, okay, I'm going to pick out this thing that you said. So like, I think she should have brought up both the guy, the bad breakup, to put it lightly, as well as her mother. But given the information that he is given, I think he has really good response to it. I say this as a A+ counselor.
I think so too. And I think most importantly, it was very much what Buffy needed. And you can kind of see the
Definitely.
relief on her face.
Yeah, and I think it was really nice given she hasn't had solid adult figures recently.
Mm.
And maybe I say this later. Oh, not too much later, but I'm possibly bitter about Dead Man's Party because I just recently edited that episode. So to me, a lot of those feelings of like her not being supported at all are still very fresh. But to me, having a solid figure who was like, "Mm-mm," like, okay, yeah, we're all a bit crazy, but like that's understandable. And you're allowed to be like
Mm.
fixated on a guy, but so like validating her while also like giving her new perspectives. I just was really, really happy for her in this moment with this counselor.
Hmm.
And,
May
and poor Debbie, who okay, well, we'll talk more about this later, but poor Debbie, who clearly was not enjoying I mean, obviously from this interaction, he's a great counselor. So it's Debbie probably just didn't like what she was hearing or didn't want to hear what she was hearing.
Yeah, yeah, he is right that the therapist does occupy a different role that a lot of people aren't used to, including holding up kind of a mirror, including to the parts that aren't super comfortable at the time.
Yeah, we're not ready to acknowledge yet.
Yeah.
So are you ready to leave the scene?
I am indeed.
Wonderful. So we are the Scoobies are gathering in the library, and I love Buffy's outfit today. She's in this lovely, like, satiny long skirt that's green with like some flowers, and then she's in this pretty tank with this green mesh cardi. It's like lots of shades of green. It's very sweet. It's trending towards like what would be really popular today, like cottage core kind of soft girl aesthetic. And
Ooh,
it's really nice.
good for her, and I bet she's crushing it the entire time. Um,
Oh yeah.
the so okay, so they Buffy kind of walks in and gets the news that they're pretty sure that Oz killed somebody the night before, and that's like
Mhm.
big bad news. Xander gets in a ton of trouble for falling asleep, as he should, and
Yep.
this seems like a huge plot hole to me. That their evidence that Oz was like clearly the one that killed somebody is that he was a werewolf last night, which is true and worthy of thinking. There was a body that was very, very, very mauled. Again, like true, good to be thinking. But they're like, oh, clearly it was Oz. It's because there's a window open. There's like one
Mhm.
window open. It's like, do you think so? So you're telling me he crawled, Werewolf Oz crawled through the window, killed somebody, crawled back in, and like still
And
yell at Xander
and
for
the
shirking
window
his duty.
and yes, absolutely. But like so you're saying all of that happened and the window is still only partially open. And there's nothing on the filing cabinet that's been disturbed.
Yeah.
There's like no other notice of a scuffle, which, like you said, Werewolf Oz isn't going to be like super sneaky about it.
Yes.
So,
If I were
yeah,
Oz, I would have
I'm
been
with
like,
you.
"Fuck you guys! Why would you assume that that was me?" Right?
Right.
Don't.
Can you put in a little more detective work?
Right.
A little bit more.
Right.
Can you try a little bit harder to clear my name? Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, they weren't trying hard enough. So Oz tries to do the whole storm off thing, which is adorable. And then Willow's like, yeah, but I would love to let you do that, but it's the sun setting soon. So he goes in the cage, tells her to get away from the cage. It's going to happen soon. And that very much feels like me informing Hayden when I'm going to go quiet because I'm hangry and I don't want to say something mean.
Hayden, your options here are to give me a granola bar immediately or go into another room.
I'm going to not talk until we've had our appetizer and a Diet Coke.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, Allie, that was good. That's going to be the audiogram right there.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Hashtag hangry. You wouldn't like me when I'm hangry.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Okay,
I
so
know it's like cringy millennial stuff, but it's very true.
it's true. It's a thing. I'm better about managing it now, but it's still a thing.
I'm not. I still haven't learned. I'll never learn.
No
Ugh.
excuses. Improve yourself.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
so
Fuck you.
um
Go to hell. Maybe I'm hangry right now. Is that why I just said that? No, actually, Allie, I had dinner before we started recording because I was like, Allie and I are going to end up talking for too long and I'm going to be hangry by the end of it. Eat dinner now. And I did it. Boom. All
good
right, I'm
call.
done
Good
trying to
call.
improve myself.
Um okay, so I have a note here. Yeah, I'd be stunned too, Buff. No. Oh, because Buffy hears she's on patrol and she hears something in the bushes and she investigates, thinking that maybe it's Oz. And then when she sees it, it's Angel. And obviously, understandably, she just kind of stops. Yeah, I'd be pretty fucking stunned too. I would wonder if I was legitimately going crazy.
Yeah. 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 Truly, probably like it's like both probably the last thing that she could have thought that it was going to be, but also probably the thing that she hoped most that it would be. So it's like,
Sure.
what a mind fuck.
But she's
Funk.
never seen him in that state, so it's not anything she like ever would have seen coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just absolutely opposite of probably what she was expecting. I don't think any part of her would have considered that. So very, very strange.
I can't gloss over this. I will say Feral Angel found pants and socks at some point.
He had socks on too?
Yep, he had socks on. I paused. I don't have like a foot thing. I just was curious.
Interesting.
Can you edit that out?
That is
Don't
really
say that.
interesting.
Okay.
Well, much like Xander earlier, if you hadn't brought up that you don't have a foot thing, I wouldn't even thought about feet sexually. I would have just thought like, so he put on pants
people can have
and
feet
socks,
thing. It's
but not a
okay.
shirt.
I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just saying
we just don't.
You know what?
We don't. But
never
that is
mind.
really
I deserve to be
interesting.
shamed. Keep this in.
No, but you're right. It is interesting that like, okay, he didn't put on a shirt, but he put on socks. He's feral, but not so feral he didn't put on socks.
Yeah, that
Very
was like
interesting.
clearly so that I would lust
all of that
over
time
him.
in hell. He spent all that time in hell, and I don't know, maybe his shirt caught fire. Oh no. But his pants were still pretty intact and he still had socks on. Interesting.
Well, no, when he came back at the end of last episode, we saw him drop down naked.
You're right. Good catch. Good reminder. So maybe it was a preservation thing, like he got cold?
No, I think they were just trying to make it not rated NC-17.
Well, I meant socks-wise. Obviously, he had to have pants on.
Yeah.
I just meant socks-wise.
That's a good... I am curious to do the mental gymnastics that we have to do to make this make sense canonically. Yeah,
well,
it was a preservation
also,
thing. You're right. Have you ever had cold feet? It's the worst.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he dropped down in an all-stone house.
Yeah, that'd be
I would
cool
be in
to
socks, too.
walk around on.
Also, I mean, we can also, like, peek behind the curtain. It also might have been just an actor safety thing. I mean, socks aren't going to help a ton if you're barefoot in, like, foresty area, but it might help a bit.
Oh, you're
so
right.
that also might have just been actor comfort.
Yeah.
It might not even had to make sense. It was just, all right, you have your shirt off, but we'll let you have socks on.
Right. Well, I'm glad they kept his shirt off. That was kind of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then, duh. So the next scene, the gang has gone, Cordelia, Willow, and Xander have gone to the morgue to look at the body, see if they can find any evidence linking or specifically not linking, hopefully, the body, the mauling to Oz. So it's been mauled. We don't really get to see it that well, but everyone is like
horrified,
gagging over it. And they're like, so Willow, does it look like it was by a werewolf? And she was like, they could be from anything. I mean, not anything. Like, also, Willow is supposed to be a tech genius, not biologist, not doctor, not pre-med. Like, so yes, there's these scratches, but like, I mean, is it scratches or is it teeth marks? Like, you can tell the difference between something that's like a claw mark versus like a bite.
Yeah, true. So yeah, they are making just Willow the everything reasonably
Which is
intellectual.
common, and it's fine, but like, I think anybody could tell a difference between a bite mark and like a scratch.
Right. I have two thoughts. First of all, I still don't understand why we instantly assume that how many monsters are there in Sunnydale? Why do y'all I don't know. It can be anything. It could be a lot of things though. There's a lot of things that could be.
Right.
Then Cordelia
right.
has
just
this.
about it's just like it could be anything. Like,
right.
How about anything?
Couldn't be anything. Yeah. When Cordelia so Willow faints, which is very funny, and then Cordelia says, "Doesn't look good for Oz, does it?" What? It looks fine for him. What are you talking about? What?
Well, I guess the idea is that like because she fainted, it was like she fainted because she saw something that was damning. Like, obviously she wasn't fainting over like the sight of blood or something like that. Like, I think what they were trying to imply is that it was more like stress rather than like, oh no, blood.
Her fainting is evidence for the fact that she thinks that it is basically confirmed.
Right.
Oz. Got it.
Right. So it's a stress response, not
got it.
Something else.
Got it. That makes sense to me. Well, their detective work in this episode is not up to stuff.
Shoddy at best. Because, yeah, basically, I mean, there's monsters all over Sunnydale, and Oz is a werewolf 3 nights out of the month of every month. There's gonna be overlap.
Right.
It's like when I tried to tell my parents about how my girlfriends and I were synced up on our periods, and my dad was like, there's only so many weeks out of the month. You're gonna overlap. It's
Isn't
not.
No, that's a thing, though. That happens, right? That's like right?
I have not done the research because I don't like research. I have a lack of curiosity. That's probably not great. But I feel like science would probably say,
Bruce, I'm
it's a
sorry.
Confirmation bias.
No, Bruce,
it's a confirmation
I'm going to
bias.
push back. Yeah, but they're true. There are only so many weeks in the month, but there's 4 of them, and like you're like a decent portion of your close friend group is all on their period at the same time. That to me seems like
right, but it's not like you're all starting on Tuesday and ending the following Monday. It's like, oh, just got my period. It's Wednesday. Oh yeah, I started on Sunday. Like, oh my God, we're synced up. Like, it is not like we all wake up with it on the same day and it tapers off the last day. Like, some women have a 5-day period. Some women have an 8-day period. Like, it varies greatly. So it really is when people are like feeling like they're synced up, it's like you're overlapped. It's not actually starting and ending at the same time.
That's valuable insight. I am so glad that I am not a woman.
Yeah, it sucks. It fucking sucks. If you've never seen Nicholas, as well as our listeners, if you've never seen the movie No Strings Attached, starring Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman, it's one of my absolute favorite romantic comedies.
It's a good movie.
B, it has one of my very, very, very favorite cinematic depictions of periods. It's fantastic. And just the quote I'll leave you all with is, "It's like a crime scene in my pants."
Wow, I really hate that very much. Can we move on, please?
And that was I know I'm supposed to be the one keeping us on track. Too bad. And that line was spoken by the now renowned director Greta Gerwig.
Oh, that's actually a fun fact. I'm glad you say that.
There you go.
And Allie, you are supposed to. You're not. There isn't a track to keep. You're just keeping us moving. Okay, you are the driver, so you get to decide how it goes.
Woo-hoo. Cool. Well, I like stopping at Miniature America on the drive home. So Buffy, we see, so the next scene, we see that Buffy has either followed him or led Angel back to his mansion. We see her dust off a trunk and pull out some chains. Clearly, I guess Drew and Spike left in a hurry. Because that's all Drew's stuff.
Yeah, this came up in in the Reddit commentary, somebody hypothesized that, so it is definitely Drew's stuff because you see dolls if
Obviously,
you
it's
go
all the
very
dolls.
slowly.
Yeah.
I had missed it until I read it and was like, oh yeah. Somebody was like, oh, Drew and Spike were into some freaky stuff, that there's like chains in with all the dolls and her personal things. So
Yep. Oh, obviously.
yeah.
When she was like torturing / like making moves on Angel, she was like burning him and stuff. Yeah, I don't think that's even like news to report. Like, water is wet. Spike and Drew liked kinky shit.
I think the like jump though, that like these are chains.
She kept it with her dolls.
Yeah, and like these are, I don't know. I like Buffy headcanon stuff. It's good. But yeah, it looks like they both were
That's what I'm saying. It makes so much sense. I don't even think it is headcanon. I think that's just like obviously true. I think it just makes perfect sense to me, knowing Drew, that like, oh, what do you have in your trunk? You have more dolls, you have some candles, you have your chains.
You have some chains.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Maybe some bird food. She likes, oh no, not bird food. She didn't feed the birds. That's why they kept dying.
She keeps killing them.
Yeah. Allie, I love doing this podcast with you. Okay, keep going.
That should be the audiogram. Just that really, really quick audiogram. So next scene, we're in the library. Faith is on Oz duty and she is jamming out to a Walkman. Throwback. I was attached to my Walkman. I was so glued. I've always been a music lover. I loved that fucking Walkman.
The over-the-head headphones, like not like the cool ones that we have, on cool ones. I'm using that term very generously, but you know,
the big over-the-ear ones.
The her over-the-head headphones threw me.
Yep. So Buffy comes in. She's she's been restless with all this like Angel stuff, so she can't sleep. She relieves Faith. Faith goes home. Buffy digs out some books. She wants to do some research. And she is found the next morning by Giles. She fell asleep while reading. So does Sunnydale just like not have custodians?
Yeah, how is there like a literal werewolf just chilling overnight? And like the next day too, when Giles,
a literal person.
Yeah, when Giles walks in and like opens the cage, there's like presumably a naked student just laying like on a cage. Yeah.
Right. Like, do they just once you think about that, you think about like all of the late night shenanigans going on at that school, and they like the only time we've run into a custodian was I Only Have Eyes for You.
Yeah.
When he kills the teacher.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I want some kind of like deleted scene, cutting room floor thing of like Giles getting buddy and like slipping him a 50 or
don't come into the library at night. Just don't do it.
Like a nice bottle of brandy.
Yeah, I'll clean it myself.
Just
you're good.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'll empty our trash. It's fine.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I do like that Giles has interrupted Buffy sleeping, which she's technically not supposed to be doing because she's supposed to be watching Oz. But I like the disproportionate reaction to like Xander, who has no fucking excuse whatsoever, and Buffy, who is like, oh, you were doing research, you were reading, also you like routinely save the world on a regular basis. We'll let it. It's okay that this just happened.
Well, and I think it was probably also like, I mean, the first thing he did when he walked in was see that Oz was still there, which Oz was still there when Xander woke up the previous night. And again, it goes back to like the lack of evidence of last time. It's like, well, clearly everything looks fine. He didn't come back in dripping with blood on his mouth.
Yeah.
Covered in blood.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it makes that first scene not make sense, but it makes this scene make sense where it's like, well, things are clearly in order. She fell asleep researching. Yeah, this conversation is interesting to me. Just the like partial amount of information she gives. Again, going back to how unsupportive they have been this season, I do get her not immediately like. Of course, my gut instinct is like, tell everybody Angel's back. Like, just communicate. But given this season and how shitty they've been to her, I get it.
Yeah, I
I
hadn't
wouldn't
thought
tell
about
him
it that
either.
way. Yeah, you're right. She is. Yeah, you're right. Like literally 2 episodes ago, they like everybody around her fails her multiple times. So I do understand why she doesn't divulge the fact. Like she's kind of talking around the point. She doesn't. She says
Yeah,
she had
she
a
says it's a
dream about
dream
Angel.
instead.
Yeah, and she doesn't say that
Yeah.
she literally just ran into him. But I like that. Like there's some good like dad energy coming from Giles here, where
Mm-hmm.
he's like, yeah, like that makes sense. When Jenny first died, I dreamed that she was back too. And like he's being really helpful and kind of like indulging her about like what Angel might have gone through, what he might have been like if he did come
Mm-hmm.
back, like just based like purely
Yeah.
in hypotheticals. And it's just nice that he's like indulging her in this.
Right. He doesn't he follows her down the like what if instead of just like dismissing it like, oh, it's a dream, you should move on.
Yeah. And I like
So
to
I thought that was nice.
this quote that's going to be like a theme from this episode. He says, in my experience, there are 2 types of monsters. The first can be redeemed, or more importantly, wants to be redeemed. The second is void of humanity.
Mm, yeah, that is pretty much the essence of this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Willow comes in with donuts, and I just realized how long it's been since I've had a donut, and I was just like, fuck. I would fuck up some Boston creams right now. Oh my God.
I love Boston creams too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And yeah, so they're all like, okay, shut up about the donuts. Like, what did you find? She's like, well, it was inconclusive. And then,
Buffy gets frustrated.
yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, because Oz comes back and is like, hey, I'm right here. Yeah. What follows that? Remind me, despite having seen it today.
So Willow, yeah, she's talking about what happened in the morgue and she doesn't have like super solid answers. And Buffy is like, how do you not have solid answers? I don't understand. And Giles interrupts and is like, let her finish what she was saying. And like Buffy is clearly pissed because she wants to know if it was Angel who did it and not
Right.
Oz. But she like doesn't clue them in on that.
Okay. Yeah. So she ends up backing off. Willow says it was inconclusive. She's next in the cafeteria. She joins her boyfriend and as well as Debbie and Pete. Pete has this funny quote because they're talking about Buffy's session with the counselor. Says she actually kind of liked him. And Debbie says something like, well, just make sure he doesn't like try to make you start a journal or a diary. And Pete says something like, dear diary, Ken hasn't come around since he got that earring. And now that line is even funnier because I now know about Earring Magic Ken, who was discontinued because they designed his outfit based off of gay club attire.
Yeah.
And he literally had a cock ring around as his necklace.
Oh, I didn't know that one. That's funny.
Oh yeah, so the Earring Magic Ken, we meet him in the Barbie movie, was discontinued because he had this necklace that was like this big ring, and apparently
I just googled it. Yeah,
yes,
that's a cock ring.
Yes, well, so the designers were looking to make like a new Ken or whatever, and they just started looking at club fashion, but were unknowingly looking at gay club fashion. And so they just put this ring necklace on him, not knowing that it was a fucking cock ring. Or maybe they did know, but whatever. So it like sold out for the completely wrong reasons. Because I guess, I'm sure the LGBT community was like, this is hysterical. And so all the wrong people were buying the Ken, and he was pretty quickly discontinued.
Oh, that is so funny. Oh, man.
Yeah, all the Barbies and Kens mentioned in the Barbie movie, when they name them, like specifically by name, are real former Barbies and Kens that were sold.
Absolutely incredible.
Yep. Do you have this adorable Scott quote, or should I say it?
I have 2 adorable quotes from Scott. Actually, I'm going to read. You have the one that I didn't write down. I'm going to read the one that I found adorable. So when Buffy first sits down, it's just with a tray of like garbage, and he goes, I can't back you on that lunch. And I like the kind boyfriend thing. Go ahead with his other adorable quote though.
Yeah, I did love that because it's very like you care about your partner. And she mentions that she didn't sleep well, and there's a lull in the conversation. Scott turns to Buffy and says, "I wanted to tell you that you look great today, but now I want to raise that to amazing because you didn't sleep well." So wound.
And she gets real wigged by it. She does not like, yeah, she's like spooked by it. She's like, that was so kind of him, and I can't handle it.
Yeah, I've definitely had moments like that when I'm upset and I'm like, no one say anything nice or hug me, or I swear to God, I'll fall to pieces. And of course, because like she's got so much going on. And again, like that's why I end up defending Scott, because Scott is doing everything right.
Yeah, he is.
She just has too much going on.
Wrong place, wrong time. Yeah.
That she couldn't possibly tell him. Because the whole point is that he's normal.
Yeah.
But that's the downside of being normal, is that she can't share anything if she wants to keep it normal.
Right. The only other note I have about this scene is I think part of the point of it is to show that Pete's a real asshole. He has the like nasty gay comment, and then he makes a nasty comment to Scott about his mom, and then there's this look that he gives Debbie. So Debbie is first like, yeah, I don't really like the guy, and Buffy's like, oh, I kind of did, and then Debbie's kind of like, she goes back on that a little bit and says something nice about him, and Pete just like, it's like quick, and maybe I just knew what to look for because I know how the episode goes, but it was like, oh, this guy is not, there's something else here.
Yeah, again, it's been so long since this has been a fresh episode, so it was hard to know like if I got bad vibes from him because I know where it's going, or if he just like kind of comes off like a douche no matter what. He just kind of comes off as that like jerk friend who like everyone knows is a jerk, but like it's high school, so you still keep hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Like not so awful. Like he's not literally beating you up, so like you can't like he's still a friend. Yeah, that's what he comes off as, and of course we know it's even more than that. Yeah, total asshole vibes. So Buffy's very upset. She bails. She goes right to the counselor's office and is clearly about to like unburden herself, poor thing. And then she sees that like he's weirdly still. She clocks that his cigarette has like entirely burned down to the bottom. And then the camera reverses and we see his face is like totally mauled. And our poor Buff can't catch a fucking break.
I know, right? Whenever somebody finally, yeah, I feel so bad for her. Yeah.
Yeah, just. Ugh.
And she had started to be, she like walked in and she was like, okay, stay turned around. Don't look at me. Don't say anything. And she's like really opening up and starting to talk about all the trauma she's been through. And then the guy's fucking murdered. Like, man. Right. Yeah, she can't catch a fucking break. You're right.
Like someone who she actually was about to trust. And who probably would have handled her shit pretty well. Would have been cool. And I mean, I still think she would have talked around and wouldn't have been like, so I'm a vampire slayer. Demons are real. But I think she would have found a way to be like even more honest than that. And
I think that
talk about how he's back in town and there's stuff I'm dealing with. And
maybe one of our listeners who's a therapist can weigh in. I know that I have said some pretty crazy shit to my therapist before. I have never said I'm a vampire slayer. But I bet the therapists have heard some stuff. I would be very curious if it is the strangest thing a therapist has heard from their client for the client to be like, yeah, I'm a vampire slayer. There's evil in the world.
Well, it's just that I think it depends on like how specific she got, because it could potentially cross the line into her talking about crimes.
You can talk about crimes. You can't talk about getting ready
potential crime.
No, you can talk about
crimes.
Potential crimes too. Yeah, you can't talk about going to hurt somebody or yourself. But if I told my therapist, I'm going to go.
But if she's saying that I'm a vampire slayer, every night I go out and hunt vampires.
Well, yeah. So
isn't that talking about going to commit a crime? Because if you're a sane human being, an unenlightened human being in this universe, if she's like slaying vampires, she's just slaying human beings.
You're correct. Yeah, so yeah, you can't say that. But if I told my therapist I'm going to go and shoplift, my therapist is not going to do
Right, but that's not the
that.
kind of crime she's going to talk about.
Right.
So
No, but
she
you
would
first
still have to
said
be
said
limited.
talking about crimes. You can talk about committing crimes. You can't talk about hurting anybody.
Right, because, yeah, I hadn't finished the thought. I was going to get to the, like, he'll think that she's talking about being a serial killer and not, like, actually killing demons. Now,
yeah.
and then, I mean, if he then told her about it, then that would be fine because she knows. But yeah, it just like it would really she would have to be careful about how she talked about it. Because yeah, talking about delusions, fine. Or like if you're just like having visions of seeing demons and stuff, that's fine. But if you're talking about how last night you staked 3 vampires, like it might start getting to hinky, like, ooh, did she just confess to being a serial killer?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you'd probably get some. You'd probably be detained for that. Yeah, you can't do that.
Quite possibly, especially with her violent history of like being involved in fights and stuff.
Well,
probably wouldn't look to.
We'll never know, anyways, because the second somebody was nice to her, yeah, they got killed, of course.
Yeah, because I got a vibe from him that, again, parallel universe where he didn't die. I wouldn't have been surprised if this is a guy who was enlightened, was aware. I could see that.
Oh, that is very interesting, Allie.
Right?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
we get some prequel shit. I don't know. Yeah, I just get that vibe of like, this is a guy who knows what's up.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're right. Man, okay, that's fan fiction that needs to be written. Cool.
Right? Yeah, that'd be great. So the next scene, we see Debbie and Pete. Pete coaxes her into some kind of storage room so they can make out. Pete notices that the glowing green mason jar is mostly empty, starts getting pissed, starts being abusive, pretty standard abusive talk. Why do you piss me off? Why do you get me this way? You know how I get. Blame, 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 blame. And my note here is just, I really like to think episodes like this saved some people from abusive relationships later in life. I like to think, or helped people be a little more aware of some warning signs. Because as far as Buffyverse metaphors go, this is very thinly veiled. Like,
yeah, this is not subtle at all.
Not really subtle, because his green liquid could be steroids, could be alcohol, any kind of like, you're not yourself when you're on this drug, you know how you get, kind of thing.
And then when he says, I don't even need it anymore, then it's just like full on, like, yeah, he's just abusive. Yeah, the things that he says are horrible, awful.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Wow. Like, it was hard to watch. And yeah.
Oh, yeah. And sort of following this, I think Debbie gets a really unfair deal.
That's going to come up in my hot take section. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk more about it. Yeah. So yeah, I like to think, and listeners, if you know anybody who this episode maybe helped you be on your toes a bit more or helped you sidestep a situation, I would love to hear about that. That'd be really interesting. Yeah, I like to think it gave somebody some life lessons that they were able to recognize that kind of situation, so that they were maybe able to either handle it better or avoid it in their own life. That'd be nice.
I think there's still like a okay, what he did is patently abusive. There's no gray area to it. Like,
correct.
Just time, and it's not just the fact that he hit her that was abuse. He was like black and white abusive territory long before that. I do think there is
possessive, and
there's like a gray zone of abusive before that I feel like is still really hard to capture, and I haven't seen a type of media that does that great. But I guess that's the like insidiousness of that gray area is that it isn't always super clear until you're like removed from it and you can look back and be like, wow, that was really messed up. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, because you know, it's never your second date and they hit you. They work up to it.
Right.
They, you know, manipulate is going to manipulate.
And they may never even hit you and they're still abusive.
Right. Right. Oh, yes, absolutely. But there was some great phrases in that scene that he uses that could have been plugged in somewhere else that didn't involve physical contact. Like you know how I get. Why do you make me this way?
You know you shouldn't make me mad. Yeah. Yeah,
right,
you're right.
Like that kind of language and like the very, very quick turn to go from yelling to like baby and like the softness and stuff. So like there are some of those that, I mean, even I started to recognize from my previous relationship, like that very quick turn, making it your fault, all that kind of stuff. That, yeah, like you said, that stuff comes long before that stuff. And her saying like, I can change him. And like, you know, he loves me. He only gets this way because he loves me so much. Like, I think maybe having some of that lingo just swirled in your brain is just potentially helpful. Because I mean, and that is the hard part when it is entirely emotionally manipulative. Then it's so much harder to put your finger on and takes so much longer to recognize.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I do hope that this brought some clarity to somebody at some point. It had to have.
Yeah, right?
Also, just the image of her comforting him at the end of it, too. I was like, oh, my God. Yeah, that is how that always happens, too. Yeah.
I feel like both of us felt that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, how did I get personally to this position? Yeah, but... Yeah, here I am.
Why does this feel so familiar?
Right.
Why does this scene hit hard? Yeah. Oh.
All right.
Men are trash.
Men are trash.
Men are trash. Exceptions, not the rules.
I'll even we can make it a rule, and I will claim being trash too. That's fine. I will, if that's what needs to happen. Sure, I'll be trash too. But like, I want everybody to know men are trash. Okay, keep going. Sorry, Allie.
Yeah, there we go. So next, the crew is gathering in the library because another victim has been found, but it happened during the daytime, so that clears Oz. Yay. And then this is when they start to put together that all of the victims, the common factor is Debbie. And so they ask Oz, they're like, hey, well, you were in band with them, like, did the first victim and Debbie actually have a thing? And he says, I don't think so, but he hit her music comp book once. It's just like grasping at straws and like, I mean, they knew each other. I don't know, it was just like such a random, like, he hit her, no, he stole her water bottle once. I don't know.
Oh, dirty stuff.
Yep. It's just so, yeah, just a home record.
Right.
Stealing notebooks. So the gang splits up to go find Debbie and Pete, either one or both. And this is where it gets into victim blame territory, which I'm just going to say, totally not okay. Buffy and Willow find Debbie, and it's not even quite so much, well, it is a bit of like what they actually say, but it's also how Buffy says it. Buffy's voice, tone, total demeanor is accusatory and on the offense. It is offensive. She says, it's tricky covering a fresh shiner like that. You know what works? Don't get hit. Whoa.
Yeah, girl.
Pre-K pause. No.
Pre-K pause. I love that guy.
He's
adorable.
I figured you knew him. Yeah, pre-K pause. That is victim
just by the way,
language.
too, if you look him up on Instagram, he's like buff and really hot too.
Yes. Oh yeah, I've seen those when he's not just in his car talking about his students. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
He's
keep going. Back to victim blaming.
Handsome guy. Yeah, because it's just like we know that Pete is the perpetrator. It's not. I mean, if anything, she's like covering up. But that does not make her also a perpetrator herself. She's literally covering up a black eye.
Right.
Guys.
Actively, like in front of you right now. Yeah, I get.
Yeah.
And Buffy kind of makes this point. So if there is any grace to be given, it's about this point. Like the point she's making is like, listen, somebody else is about to die. 2 people are dead. Somebody else is about to die. We need to.
Can you repeat what you just said? You paused here for a second. So
Yeah.
start back to where you were saying,
Sorry.
if there's any grace to be given.
If there's any grace to be given, it's when Buffy is getting at the idea that like we don't have time to. You need to tell us this because people are literally gonna die. But also even while I understand that Buffy is gonna be less supportive because she has these other competing imminent priorities. If Buffy was a little bit more responsive and didn't go on the offense right away, she would have had better luck at getting the information she needed.
Right. Yeah. I have one other quote, but I had another in defense of Buffy, just the like extrapolating. I do think this is another moment of she's not angry at Debbie. She's angry at herself. You know, she hesitated killing Angel. She made excuses. She, you know, tried to fix it. All that stuff. I think she's seeing too much of herself, not giving her. Obviously, she's being really hard on herself. She was always hard on herself about the Angela situation. I think that is an explanation, not an excuse.
Yeah.
I think that is possibly what was fueling those emotions, but still not okay for you to come down so hard and to literally say, if you want to avoid a black eye, don't get hit.
Yeah, don't get hit.
No.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh my God.
And again, this definitely comes to blaming the writers, not blaming the character.
Yeah.
That should absolutely not have been said. It's not things were different back then. Like, no, that shouldn't have been said ever.
Right. Never.
I feel like someone in the writer's room should have been like, phrase it differently.
Right.
I don't know.
There's in episode 1 of this season when she says to Lily, you can't just run away from your problem. It feels like kind of similar to that, where it's like, oh, Buffy, there's some projection happening. We're going to need to handle that. Yeah. All right. Especially when it comes to domestic violence.
Awareness. Yes. Yeah. I get having those feelings, don't quite back, how you dealt with it. There was a kind of, and again, tone being everything. There was another quote in this that I did like, because Debbie says, I didn't ask for your help. And Willow very gently says, well, when are you going to? Yeah. If Pete kills you, it'll pretty much be too late.
I had that.
That was a good quote.
I wrote down that quote too. And earlier in this exchange, there's a moment where Buffy's like going way too hard. And like the camera pans over to Willow, and Willow looks so filled with sympathy. Like they have like a good cop, bad cop thing going on, when in a situation like this, you just need 2 good cops, but whatever. Willow is doing the good cop thing very well.
Right. Yeah. This would also be a situation where it could have been a teaching moment if there was a moment of like Willow telling Buffy to back off.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that could have been a nice like moment of keeping each other in check.
This is going to come up in my hot take. This idea, like we're kind of making this episode is kind of a PSA about domestic violence, but they don't go all the way with it. Because you're right. Like if they had been leaning into like PSA about domestic violence, that's what this episode is about, then yeah, that's what they would have done. But they kind of didn't do it. So then some harmful stuff happened. Right.
I was expecting to defend this episode more. Because this is a scene that I had not noticed before. Had not struck this chord with me before. Because I mean, and we've talked about this. Like, this isn't a very enjoyable episode. So it's not like one I would have like gone to rewatch all the time, despite watching the season a lot. So yeah, this is definitely a scene that struck me a very different way than it once did.
Yeah.
And then one last quote I wrote down for this scene. Debbie starts going slightly catatonic. She's just repeating, he loves me, he loves me. And Willow says, I think she was broken before this.
No, yeah. I hated this line.
Willow says, I think we broke her. And Buffy says, I think she was broken before this. Oh my God.
Blamey oh my God. Like, yeah.
No.
We could have done that line. Like, why did she not say, like, something about Pete? Why did she say, Debbie is not broken. She's, people going through abusive situations are not broken. Oh my God.
You are not broken. It is never your fault. It is not your fault if you stay in. It is not your fault if it takes longer than you wish it did to get out. It is not your fault. You are the victim. That's it. Period. End of story. Just making our stance on that very clear. Normally, again, we are on the defense of the show. This was incorrect.
No, not there. And like to your point you raised earlier too, like this isn't just like a 2023-4 look back. This is like, even then, that was fucked up to say.
Right. This was too many men in the writer's room.
Yeah.
Too many of the wrong men in the writer's room.
Yep.
Making assumptions. But Janice Benson, where were you? Probably should have spoken up a bit. Just kidding. I love you, Janice Benson. You've done incredible work. And I bet you were talked over a lot. That would be my guess. Anywho. So it seems like Pete is about to kill Debbie. We find out later that he does indeed.
Pete's about to kill Oz.
He goes, yes. Yeah, and so he goes to find Oz, finds him in the library, opens the cage, gives him a couple good smacks, but as Oz is like, you really shouldn't do this, sun sets, and it's pretty great.
Do you have this quote written down from him when the sun sets? I thought this was a badass Oz quote. He goes, so the sun is setting, and Oz goes, time's up. Rules change.
Yes, I almost wrote that down. I did really like it. That was a really awesome moment. And I continue to appreciate Seth Green's performance again and again, because in years since, he has been, 99% a comedic actor. Which I guess, a different kind of comedic actor, because I would still say in this, like, he's a comedic character, but it's all because he's playing it straight, because he's saying it as a grounded character, and that all comes off as funny. He's really great at that.
That was excellent analysis, Allie.
Yeah.
BFA.
Well, part of it is because I heard in an interview with Seth Green, they were talking about when he got the first Austin Powers movie, or the second Austin Powers movie, whichever movie he's first in. And they were saying, he said he got that role because he played it so differently from everybody else. Because everybody else who came into the audition played it jokey, played it comedic, but he had just come off of a play. And so he was like, well, what if I just treated this very seriously, like a damaged child of divorce, like who's mad at his dad? Like, this is all serious and grounded. And so that's how he got cast as Scott Evil in the Austin Powers movies, because he approached it as a straight, grounded character. So I definitely noticed that same kind of approach to the character of him as Oz. Because you could see this being over the top, like chill stoner bro, and that would have been not funny at all. It would have just been like stupid and cliche.
I am sure that's a very interesting tidbit that you just shared. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm thrilled a great that interview. He did this character the way he did.
Me too. And I had the thought during this fight scene between Pete and Werewolf Oz, I was like, I wonder if that's actually Seth Green in the suit. So Reddit says it is a stunt guy. There's like 4 different phases of him shifting, and I think it's him in the first, I think it's Seth Green in the first couple, but once it's like full on wolf, it's a stunt guy in a suit.
Oh, neat.
So there you go. Thanks, Reddit.
Thanks, Reddit.
So Buffy comes in. So Buffy comes in, breaks up the fight. Pete runs off. Buffy follows, and she does a superhero jump off that big ledge. But she has a very normal landing. This is clearly before Hollywood started doing these superhero, like, dramatic 3-point stand and then like dramatic look up.
Oh yeah.
Just see Black Widow in Marvel and you'll know what I'm talking about with the superhero landing. No, she has a very normal landing, which is cool. Chases him to the warehouse, follows him, fight ensues. Stop me if you've got notes.
So, so like there's like this clip in right after Buffy has landed where Pete is back in that lab with Debbie, and there's another awful scene between the two of them where Debbie is like hugging him and was like right before this too. Debbie had stopped Buffy from shooting Pete with the tranq gun.
Mm-hmm.
And Debbie's like, did you see what I did for you? I stopped it. And he says more just like horrible things to her. But then Buffy comes in and Buffy discovers that Debbie is dead.
Yes.
And that's when Pete comes up and
and so they fight. We've talked about this before, that sometimes it seems like Buffy's strength is a little inconsistent. Sometimes it's like when it's convenient for the story almost, that like, oh, she can't lift this
chandelier
or table or whatever chandelier, and like, but she just snapped off a handle. So she does seem to struggle a bit with Pete. I am confident she would have won in the end, but while she is on the ground, Angel lunges in and very, very brutally snaps his neck.
Yeah.
And then we get the
Reddit thought, and this was an interesting thing to me. I think that Buffy potentially would have struggled killing Pete because he is technically a human. And I think he's like a human who deserves to have his neck snapped in the way that Angel did it. But that was like an interesting way to think about like why she didn't, because she's taken on tougher fights than Pete before. So what was that about?
That's a good point, that maybe there was some hesitation there from her. This is almost where some elements that have been dropped into the show in this season and previous seasons could have come back, which I get. Sometimes like you can't follow every thread, but if we remember in Out of Mind, Out of Sight, the girl who's invisible ends up in a school, essentially in like a government program for invisible people. And then there's also been a couple times where we see that Snyder knows something. He knows that there's stuff that the city is covering up. He knows about, if not everything, he knows something. So if there had been more communication, there's kind of like an alternate universe where she could have restrained him, and maybe some sort of program could have like weaned him off of the steroid potion, whatever that he was taking, or could have studied him to see if like that was a permanent issue. But I mean, he still would have hopefully then been arrested and probably tried as an adult.
Yeah, who knows where that storyline
judicial system.
Yeah. Is he redeemable? I bet he might be redeemable. Who knows? I don't know. Are his people I don't know.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. We don't have to get into it.
My answer ends up being sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I like that.
Case by case basis.
My other note about this scene that I like is when Angel has successfully dispatched Pete, and then he just like gets on his knees and sobs into Buffy, and like she also starts crying. Like I just think this moment between the two of them is so powerful.
Oh yeah, it is a really beautiful moment because you can see the conflict in Buffy. A million emotions and memories at once that she must be feeling. Yeah, just so much confusion. The fact that she was able to like that she handled it as much as she did. I'm sure there was a lot of like numbness, shock, because because she, the fact that he humanized so quickly, she probably thought he was always going to be that way. And so now it's like, well, he's devamp faced, and he spoke, remembers her,
He just saved
recognized her.
Yeah.
Right.
When she may not have needed to be saved, but still, he saved her. Yeah.
But still, he wasn't like on all fours roaming around town biting people. He escaped and went to her.
Yep.
And saved her and didn't then go attack her. So definitely like a lot more humanity still in there than she was expecting. And like he is clearly still soul restored angel, still angel, not Angelus. So just like lots of complicated stuff. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, we see her, I think we end the episode with her just like kind of watching him at the mansion.
Right before that, there's a scene like kind of the next day. It's just recap. We don't need to spend much time on it. Right. I did want to call out
with
at
her
least
and Scott.
Yeah, at least one quote though. Yeah, so she's first talking with like Willow and the gang, and they're kind of debriefing, and they call back. Like it turns out that Pete didn't need the potion after a while. He was just a bad guy, and I think that's an interesting callback to Giles' quote earlier. And Buffy sees Scott sitting alone, and she walks over to him. I'm going to read this quote, and then I'm going to tell you why it's meaningful for me. She said, "I don't know what to say that's not going to sound stupid or obvious." And Allie, I don't know if you remember this, but when listeners, I think I've talked on here about how several years ago I lost my nephew to brain cancer. And people say all sorts of things when you're grieving, some of them helpful, some of them not helpful at all. But Allie said one of the most helpful things that anybody said. I think you just said something along the lines of, I don't know what to say, but I'm sorry and I love you. And that was just like, that was so healing for me in that moment. And I have to imagine how healing that was for Scott there. To have like nobody come in with any sort of like wisdom or anything or try to make things better. Just like, oh man, this sucks.
I did love that. And I do remember saying something to that effect. And I did also sort of make a point to at least people that I cared about having meaningful interactions with when talking about stuff about my dad this past year, being like, I release you from finding something right or good or helpful to say. Like, this
There's
sucks.
Nothing.
You don't you don't have to find something good to say, because the thing that I've kept running into when shit hits the fan is like the people who will go out of their way to say like, I'm here for you if you need anything. For the most part, you already knew that. Like, I didn't need you to say like, I love you and I'm here for you. Like, bitch, I know you are. If you said something otherwise, I would have been shocked. Like, obviously, you are here for me. Anything else would have been ludicrous to hear from you. With my dad's stuff, there were some people who were surprisingly there for me that I did not expect, and that was really appreciated. But so, yeah, I think there are times that we think that we have to, like, be eloquent or we can't acknowledge the elephant in the room. But I think it's so much more helpful.
Girl.
I think it's so much, this must be Hayden getting home. I just think it's so much more helpful to just like acknowledge it of like, I have nothing to say. There is nothing I could say.
Yeah.
I think that's so much more human and in the end, like you said, so much more helpful.
Yeah. Well, you did it. Yay. Yay, Allie, and yay, Buffy. You're like Buffy. How about you?
Yay, besties. Well, that's my goal. Yeah. So let's get into trivia and hot takes.
Okay, I'll be quick on the trivia. I know we're almost at time here. So when Willow is in the morgue doing her little thing, she has a little lunchbox with her. It's a Scooby-Doo lunchbox, which I think is a hilarious through line that's kind of through the Scoobies, and she's worn Scooby shirts before. Yeah.
Super
There
cute.
There was part of a dialogue that was cut that I think people are going to have mixed feelings about it. I think it's hilarious. So Scott is advising Buffy before she visits the counselor. The lines are, Scott says, stable. Okay, topics to avoid, the little men that live in your teeth, your compulsion to paint circus clowns. And then Buffy says, but if God keeps telling me to kill, it just seems so snotty not to, you know?
I can see why they cut it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think they should have kept it. That's hilarious.
I think
Or they
that's
could
funny.
have cut Buffy's line, but kept Scott's lines.
Right.
Because those
right.
are funny. I think that is some adorable banter that would have not progressed, developed their relationship more.
I agree with you.
That's so funny.
So this is the second teacher who was nice to Buffy, who's been killed by the monster of the week. The other is Dr. Gregory from Teacher's Pet. So poor Buffy. And then my last thing is after its original airing, a PSA about domestic violence played.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if that, because when you were talking about, and I think when we hinted at this before, this clearly deals with domestic violence, but maybe doesn't go quite far enough. I think some of that, at least in the original airing, is helped by being very blatantly acknowledged at the end with the domestic violence hotline. Of course, that has not helped anytime since it's on
Original airing,
on original or any kind of like rerun cable network airing. Can't say for sure, but I like to think that they still include those. I think they do. Like if it's like a, CBS rerunning episodes and stuff, I think they keep that stuff in. I'm not sure. But it's certainly not there on like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and all those places when you're rewatching, which I think is a little irresponsible because it's like it was originally put there for a reason. I think it's good to keep it in.
Yeah.
Literally watched it today, so I know for a fact it's not there when you watch it on Hulu.
I think we have a similar hot take. Do you want to go first or should I dig in?
I want you to go first because you probably actually like wrote out notes where I'm probably just going to agree with it all.
This is one of the few times where I didn't like outline it out more. I just think that Debbie got kind of a raw end of the deal here. Not only as 100%. A character, but I think like, okay, is this a time, like, if a show, okay, so they addressed domestic violence. That's a good thing to do. They didn't do it perfectly. They got a lot wrong. They got, not a lot wrong. But like a few things they did get wrong, they got like real wrong. So then is it like, I think it's still good to have tried to do something and not done it perfectly. So I have that thought in my brain. But then I'm just like, Debbie got done so wrong. She didn't need to die. There was Buffy could have interrupted it, saved her. Then there could have been this arc at the end where Debbie like learned something. She could have like realized her own self-worth. She could have like, we could have like gotten a line about her seeing the new counselor at the end of it. Like, I just feel like they, and it was the fact that she,
or a moment between like her and Scott or something, or them checking up on her later or something like that.
And it was the fact that she both ended up dying and she didn't catch a break from anyone in this. Not Pete, not Buffy. Willow maybe like the slightest little bit, but I just feel like, I don't like how they treated Debbie's character, both like because I feel protective of Debbie as a character, but then also because of the like larger narrative that sends about like victims of domestic violence.
I completely agree. I think I'm vaguely remembering a previous episode where they were, again, it was clearly an episode about some kind of like cultural issue. And I feel like we disagreed on if they hit on it hard enough or if like they made the lesson clear enough. And I thought that they had. In this specific instance, I think it was borderline irresponsible. It is language like that scene in the bathroom that keeps people from reporting. That keeps people from going to somebody and seeking support, seeking help. That is dangerous. I can see where these are characters who were introduced and killed in the same episode. So I can sort of see her dying from just like a, preventing loose ends.
Character of the week thing. Yeah.
I can kind of see it that way because they handled it so poorly earlier. I don't think it teaches the lesson that she died. Because like I can see the lesson being like, please get help. You are in a serious situation. There are life and death consequences. This is not a small problem. This is something that needs to be handled you can't handle this on your own. You shouldn't handle this on your own. Like, I can see where that could be the lesson that they were like trying to teach. But again, because they handled it so poorly, so irresponsibly earlier, I don't think it gives that same answer. Because of how it was handled previously, it almost gives the like, well, you get what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of gives the like, she played with fire, she got burned. Like,
it just heightens up the victim blaming as opposed to ratcheting up this is serious, please get help. Yeah, you're right.
Right. There is, once again, no support for a woman. And yeah, I think it teaches completely wrong lesson in this specific episode.
Yeah. Okay, we agree.
Yeah.
The next episode is good, though. The next episode's really good. I like the next episode.
It is. And I'm okay that I found some faults and stuff, because that goes back to our whole purpose with this podcast. It was like re-examining. So like hitting on Dead Man's Party so hard and being like, it is legitimately not just like a bad episode. It was like poorly written. Like it was disjointed and not true to the characters and like dissonant from the rest of the series. Like, I think having these episodes that we have these strong reactions to is good. It's why we're having this podcast, and it's why we continue to have this kind of like analysis and critical look of this show, because it's important not just be like, yep, it's flawless.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, we're saying we still love it even after many decades later in a critical review episode by episode again. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, as an Angel fan, as a Allie fan, I'm a big Allie fan.
I'm a big Allie fan too. I'm the president of the club, though. Sit down.
Yes, you are. I'll be treasurer. No, I don't want that much responsibility. I'll just be a participant. As an Angel fan, I am definitely glad that he was brought back. As a curious person, I will continue. Just that I wasn't curious earlier in this episode. Oh, we're going to wrap up, I promise. As a curious person, I do want to know why he was brought back. I want more of that, like, behind lore. I do want that question answered more than just like, guess it was the powers that be. But yeah, they never answer that.
Yeah, so. Another loose end to be tied up.
Yeah. Well. But yay, we're shirtless David Boreanaz.
Oh, thank goodness for that, man.
Silver linings. The silver linings of this episode, that's the like opposite of the hot take. It's the companion to the hot take. It was Scott being sweet, all the Oz time, shirtless Angel. So
and
it's not a worthless episode.
I'll throw in some nice Giles dad moments.
Yes, and some good dad moments. Wonderful. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. That wraps us up. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode, and we hope you'll join us next time when we discuss Season 3, Episode 5, Homecoming.
And if you're just too excited to wait until the next episode to chat, send us an email at tabularasabpod@gmail.com. That is tabularasabpod@gmail.com. And you can also say hello to us on... Did I mess that up? Did I say something twice? I think I might have. Oh, well. This is going to be fun for the people who listen to all the way till the end. You can also say hello to us on Instagram or TikTok at tabularasabpod. And the last plug I'll throw in here is that it really does so much for us when folks leave ratings and reviews. It really helps us reach new audiences. And word of mouth is one way that people get a lot of recommendations for podcasts. So if you're really enjoying this, please share it with others. If you don't like it and you want somebody to hate listen along with you, that works too. Please don't rate and review the podcast in that case. But, you can still share it.
If you don't like us, we're Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yep. Yeah. Dude, deserves a lot of 1-star ratings. Okay, Allie, where can people find you on social media? That dude sucks. God, what a bad person. Okay, keep going.
I met last tangent. I met someone on set the other day when I was background, and we were having a lovely conversation. And then he mentioned that he loves Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh my God. There was one time.
End of conversation.
There was one time.
This is not a new friend.
I have to take this on another tangent too. There was one time I had the same exact experience. This guy who I worked with, who I thought was really cool, we were talking about podcasts. He was like, Yeah, you really need to listen to this one podcast that I listen to all the time. It's the Joe Rogan podcast. And I literally interrupted him and I was like, no.
Nope, bye.
Allie, where can people find you on social media?
People can find me on Instagram at daughterpick, DAUGHTERPICK, and on TikTok at Future Black Cat. One of my goals this year is to go back to putting out more Black Cat content, so now is the time to follow. And if you'd like to support me in my journey as an artist and maybe keep up a little bit with the behind the scenes stuff, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Allie-Press. That's ALLIE, press like press a button. I essentially blog about my journey, and you have the chance to send some monies my way if you'd like to help support me. And if you just want to skip the whole blog, you can go to Venmo, Allie-Press.
And all of those social media handles are going to be in the description. I'm feeling awfully slappy, Allie, and I hope that you are too. I hope you make some proud choices.
You as well, and same to everyone else out there. Make proud choices. Don't abuse your partners. Do seek help. You are not alone. We love you. Big hugs. Bye-bye.
Bye. Tabula Rasa, bitches, is hosted by Allie-Press and Nick Mercer, with music by Inflaton Cult, artwork by Charlotte Fleming Design, and consultation by Evo Terra.